Do you believe that you can heal yourself? Too often we give our power away to something outside of ourselves, and rarely, if ever, trust and tap into our innate healing power and intuition. Everyone has this capability to heal in ways we never thought possible. It's your sovereign right to claim and have true health and lasting wellness. Now, here is the host of the Dr. Dolores Show, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer.
Welcome to another episode of the Dr. Dolores Show. And I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we've been having, what can I say? We've been having a self-discovery series, and this is the fifth episode and the final episode of the Becoming Your Own Best Friend self-discovery series. So today we're going to be talking about thriving in self-love. And for many of us, self-love is it's a real complicated thing. And we've been taught for so long that loving yourself is considered selfish, and how dare you to even think that you could do that. But you know what? It's a necessity, and it's a very important foundational piece of learning how to become your own best friend. Because remember, everything starts with us first. It's an inward job. It's self-love, self-respect, self-acceptance. It all starts here. It doesn't start outside of ourselves. It starts within ourselves. So, what is self-love? And I've just took some notes here. Self-love is the practice of caring for, valuing, and respecting oneself. It involves accepting oneself as worthy of love and kindness, regardless of the perceived flaws or shortcomings that we label ourselves as having. Self love entails nurturing one's physical, emotional, mental well being, setting healthy boundaries, and prioritizing one's needs, one's own needs, and happiness. It's about recognizing and appreciating one's strengths and uniqueness, while also acknowledging areas for growth and improvement. Ultimately, self love is a foundational aspect of overall well being and is essential for leading a fulfilling and satisfying life. So that's what self love is. And I don't feel that any part of that description is being selfish. In fact, when we don't take the time to do that for ourselves and just really love the love ourselves, all the deliciousness that comes with that, we really take away from what we could potentially be giving to others. Because remember, everything starts with us first, and who we are ripples out into the universe. So if we are the essence of love and we are loving ourselves, guess what happens? Remember, we talk about dropping a little pebble in a pond of water? When we do that, that's like radiating from us. We're that little pebble that we drop into the water. And as it hits the water, it ripples out and it affects everything in that body of water. So you can look at it from this aspect too. That little pebble is you making an impact on collective consciousness. So isn't that just a wonderful thing to be doing? It's just there's really no effort. What you are radiates out. It's all energy. So we talked about what self-love is. Let's briefly talk about what self-love is not. Okay. When you don't practice self-love, a lot of negative behaviors and attitudes towards oneself can materialize. And here's some example. We get to be more we criticize ourselves more. And maybe you're the type of person maybe that beats yourself up, and we've talked a lot about that on the Dr. Dolores Show and past episodes. Where our self-talk is not very positive, or we are beating ourselves up, and sometimes we treat a stranger on the street a lot better than we even treat ourselves. That's got to stop. Self neglect is another thing that is not self love. Ignoring one's physical, emotional, and mental needs, or putting others' needs before our own, to the detriment of our own well-being. And so sometimes this comes hand in hand with people who are codependent, meaning that they put everybody else's needs before their own. Or if they are on their list of to-do things, they're on either the last thing on their to-do list, taking care of themselves, or they don't even make the list. Okay. That's self-neglect, and that's got to stop as well. Another thing that is not self-love is self-sabotage, such as engaging in behaviors that harm yourself, such as unhealthy habits or relationships, procrastination, or avoiding responsibilities. So, if you have a tendency to be a saboteur, you may want to look at, where you are harming yourself, either by who you hang out with, or maybe what you are doing, or how you are doing things, procrastinating or avoiding things. It's something to look at. Another thing that is not self love is perfectionism. And we've talked about that before on the Dr. Dolores show. We've had a couple of episodes about being perfect and recovering perfectionist here. And, in the future show, we're going to be having another episode on perfectionism as well. But perfectionism is setting unrealistic standards for yourself, and feeling inadequate or unworthy or unable to meet them when you're unable to meet them. So that's like it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it also is constantly going around in the motions of things. And it's really not a good thing. Okay. So we talked about self-criticism, self-neglect, self-sabotage, perfectionism. Another thing that is not self-love is comparison. How many times in life are we always comparing ourselves with other people? Okay. Continuously measuring one's worth against others leads to feelings of inferiority or envy. Everybody's on their own path and on their own journey. And just because somebody's doing something doesn't mean, and you're not living up to that expectation, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or whatever. You're on a different pathway, you're on a different trajectory. So you do yourself a huge disservice when you're comparing yourself to other people, and measuring up and how you measure up. That's an external validation instead of learning how to come internally and being okay with who you are and where you're at, no matter what is going on. Another thing that is not self love is self denial, suppressing one's authentic thoughts, feelings, and desires to conform to societal expectation or please others. When we deny ourselves our truth and our wisdom that is ours, it's like there's a disconnect from ourselves and being connected to our higher selves, our intuition, our inner wisdom. When we deny ourselves that and give that power away to something outside of ourselves, like looking for approval for somebody else, or trying to fit in, so you dampen your light. A lot of us who are here right now carry a lot of light energy. That's our essence. That's our beingness of who we are, and it's a light, and some of us shine our lights more than others. A lot of us dampen it down so that we fit in, or we don't draw attention to ourselves. I invite you to show up in all your glory and all your light, because when you deny that, you really are hurting yourself and maybe hurting others as well, because you're not showing up in your true potential, and maybe other people need to hear what your true potential is. Did you ever think of it from that perspective? Another thing of what is not self love is lack of boundaries. And we've talked a lot about boundaries on the Dr. Dolores show, because it's really all about setting boundaries and honoring them, feeling you are worth it enough to be treated and respected and valued and appreciated. When we lack boundaries, we allow others to mistreat or take advantage of ourselves due to an inability to set and reinforce healthy boundaries. And we recently talked about that on five one of the 5 episodes of the Becoming Your Own Best Friend series that were in our last episode of today. And lastly, another thing that is not self love is seeking external validation, relying on others' approval for validation to feel worthy or lovable, instead of cultivating self acceptance and self worth from within. This is what we call, sometimes it's people pleasing. We bend over backwards to get approval from other people, and it's really an interesting pattern to kind of dissect and look at, because it's all about external things and trying to get approval from the outside instead of stepping within your power and embracing who you are and feeling safe and secure from within. So when we don't practice self love, it diminishes our sense of worth, it undermines our well being, and prevents one from living authentically and fulfilling your potential. So I know that was a lot that we just went through here. What is self love and what definitely is not. And you might be able to add a couple of those things to the list too. I invite you to sit and ponder with that. And if you're finding that there's things that you may do personally that have contributed to not loving yourself, make a note of that and see what you can do to flip the switch on that and to make it into something where you're going to be honoring and appreciating and loving yourself from the inside out. So, how is it possible to integrate more self love into your life? Well, that's it all comes down to awareness too, okay? I feel that we're in a period of humanity's evolution where people are waking up on a daily basis. They're becoming more aware. What I mean by that is like when you come to a realization that you're more than what you've been programmed to think you are. Okay. Classic example is when we are striving to be perfect and fit into society, and all of a sudden you realize that you look at the person in the mirror and you don't even recognize yourself. This is an example of how we've given our power away to something outside of ourselves instead of looking in the mirror and seeing the true reflection of who we are. So if you're at that point in your life and your evolution, congratulations. You are waking up and you're realizing that you may have bought into the illusion that everything is happening to you from something outside, or you're the victim to the thing, or you think this is how you get ahead, is like keeping up with the external Joneses instead of coming within yourself and really getting to know and have an intimate relationship with who you are on the inside and building that a foundational piece within yourself. So when you go out into the world, you're able to move beyond surviving to thriving. You are able to embrace your well being and live life on your terms and stepping into your power and not giving that precious resource away to something outside of yourself. When you are waking up, you are becoming conscious. You have moved from unconsciousness to consciousness. You've moved from being unaware to aware. And once that happens and you're awake, it's hard to go back to being not awake or asleep. And things happen in society, in our world. And I feel that there are impetus times where it allows masses of people to wake up almost simultaneously. When we look at some of the events that had happened in the last 20 plus 30 years, like 9/11, when that happened, that was a huge wake up call. A lot of people awoke during that time. Another time was like the financial crisis that we had in 2008, where, everything went topsy turvy. And since 2008, all the certainty in the world has been uncertainty since 2008. Another thing that happened too was living through the whole COVID, um, a pandemic. That was a huge wake up call for a lot of people on many different levels. So I feel that things happen in our world, and it's so beautiful when you look back and see the bigger picture, not sometimes when you're moving through it, but you could see the overlay and the big picture, what's going on, the beauty in these events that have allowed people to awaken, because once you awaken you can't go back to sleep, remember that, and life is different from that point forward. So it's like you're able to tap into a deeper aspect to yourself and lay the foundation to become your own best friend. So you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and we're talking about um, thriving in self love on this episode of the Dr. Dolores Show. So when we come back, we'll talk more about that. See you after the break.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show, and we're talking about thriving in self love today as part of the concluding episode in our discovery series called Becoming Your Own Best Friend. And before the break, we were talking about what self love is and actually what self love is not. And I think what's important is we need to integrate more self love into our lives. But how do we do that? So we're gonna just talk about how we could do these things in this part of the this part of the show here. So I think one of the most important things to do is practice self care. And for a lot of people, that's a stretch because, some people think self care, well, I'll do that when I get time, or, it's like, I'll do a mani pedi and, and a massage. And I'm really talking about not the superficial self care. I'm talking about the deeper dive into deep self care. And what I mean about that is activities that nourish your body, mind, and soul. And they can include exercise, healthy eating, and relaxation techniques, hobbies, or spending time in nature. But it's also about doing looking into your past and maybe healing some things that have been hanging around for decades. Maybe that grudge that you have, or even, that you just can't seem to let go, or those unforgiving things that you're still hanging on to, or even, some of the talk that the things we say in the silence of our mind. because everything is energy and it does affect you overall. It's like we're this complex matrix where things are connected in ways you have no idea, but yet that's how it works. It's not a linear thing that A plus B equals C or 1 plus 2 equals 3. It's like 1 plus 5 equals 6 plus 7 plus blah, 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 blah. It's like, and I believe that our world doesn't even have a fleeting glimpse of what it really is all about. Yet we hypothesize that, this is how it has to happen and stuff like that. Well, who says? It's just like I think there's more going on than we all know. And it's okay to embrace that and trust that sometimes we just can't see what is really happening behind the scenes because we don't have that capability as of yet. So it's about having a lot of blind faith and trust. So practice self-care and really dig deep and start healing those parts of you that are still unconsciously running the show. How you could get more self-love in your life is set boundaries. Set healthy boundaries. When you mean yes, say yes. When you mean no, stay no and stand by, say no and stand by that. Also, it's honoring the boundaries of others too. Okay. If somebody says no and you don't agree with them, it's not up to you to push that boundary to make them wrong or right or whatever. It's about honoring other people's boundaries as well. It's reciprocal. Okay. Challenge negative self talk. Really pay attention to the inner dialogue that you have in your mind, the conversation you have with yourself in your mind. I know that sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? But it's the truth. We say we are so unkind to ourselves sometimes and we are beating ourselves up. And I know I've talked a lot about this before on my show. We are at least 75% water. You know how we used to label vessels of water with words? And I talk about Dr. Masaru Emoto. He was a Japanese scientist that studied water and vibration and energy and labeling water vessels with different words and looking at the crystalline formation under a microscope after he would freeze that. And of course, we know that the beautiful words like peace and love and appreciation, they were these beautiful crystalline formations, symmetrical. They were just gorgeous. And then if you labeled some of those water vessels with I hate you, unworthy, they were fractured, also, um, not formed and just not very beautiful. They were really kind of damaged. And so take that a step further with us being, 75% water. When you say negative things to yourself in your mind, guess what you're doing? You are labeling this Taj Mahal, this beautiful vessel of water with those words. And what do you think happens? That changes the pathophysiology over time in our physical body. And it creates it could possibly lead to creating some physical discomforts, disease processes, whatever. So really clean up your self-talk and what you say to yourself. And, you know, awareness is key. We talked a little bit about awareness before the break. When you're awake, you're more aware. When you're aware, this is where your power comes in and you could choose something different. This is being mindful and minding the thoughts and doing mindful activities that will assist you in that. Practice gratitude. Being grateful is a superpower. I also say being appreciative is gratitude on steroids because when you're appreciative, it's like higher vibrating than gratitude, I feel. And when you're appreciative, it's like it just sets into motion this unconditional love and acceptance that flows out with you as well. I believe that's interconnected somehow. Engage in self reflection. It's okay to look at yourself and explore your thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. I think it's actually one of the more healthy things people do. It's about being reflective and seeing where we could improve ourselves. It's not about taking an inventory so we could beat ourselves up. It's like, okay, I did this. How could I do this better? It's not about punishing ourselves. It's about learning from the um, things that have happened from you. And instead of looking at it as like a bad thing, okay, it's a growth opportunity, time to move forward, time to change that and do something different. So when you are engaging in self-reflection, you're able to do that. I think another big thing is being able to, for self-love, is being able to forgive yourself and cutting yourself some slack. Like I was saying earlier, we are really hard on ourselves. We don't cut ourselves cut ourselves the grace that we need. We're more likely to give grace to a stranger than we are to ourselves. And why is that so? We are worthy, we are deserving. Is it about making peace or trying to make somebody else like you? I mean, what's the whole draw that you do that? Is it just like, or, something to to meditate on or to journal about? I would say, label the top of your journal. Tell me more about forgiving myself, and see what comes up when you write, or show me my next steps about forgiving myself and see what comes up. It's not when you phrase things from show me my next steps, it's not about what we call the W's and the H's, the what, who, where, when, what, how do I need to do this, whatever. No, it's about you already being capable and just asking for assistance. But in the asking for assistance, this is where it's different. Surround yourself with positivity is another thing to remember. Spend time with people who uplift you and support you. And, take a vacation from social media or even the TV or the news. And, surround yourself with inspiration and content that allows you to expand your possibilities. I think sometimes when we are surrounding ourselves with things that drain our energy or bring us down, you start to go down into this downward spiral. And sometimes when you're not aware that this is happening, it really could get pretty crazy pretty quickly. So I invite you just to be aware of when it's happening, that awareness piece, and just move forward and allow yourself to have that grace in order to choose something different. Prioritize self compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding and patience that you would offer to a loved one facing a challenge or setbacks, or even to a stranger. Have that open heart and connect heart to heart. And most importantly, connect heart to mind, to body, for yourself. So you're allowing yourself to receive all those wonderful things that you give away to other people. It's time for you. You're a priority enough that you need to have that for yourself as well. Set meaningful goals. Pursue goals and aspirations that align with your values and bring joy and fulfillment. And if you need to, if it seems like it's an overwhelming goal, take baby steps. Remember, sometimes it feels like an elephant, it's so big. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Break it down into steps. And of course, if you need support and you're finding that you you we're no longer lone rangers. We need other people. So reach out to trusted friends, family members, and professionals that support and guide you on your journey towards self love. And if you're interested in working with me, I invite you to reach out to me as well, because I love helping people on their pathways so they could become a better person for themselves. So, remembering that integrating self love into your life is an ongoing process and requires practice, patience, and self compassion. Just remember, be gentle with yourself and allow yourself to embrace the journey of self discovery and growth. So you've been listening to the Dr. Dolores Show, and we are in our fifth episode of our discovery series on becoming your own best friend and today's topic is thriving in self love. And we're on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we'll go into a guided meditation on how you could embrace um, self love within your life. So stay tuned and see you soon.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, and we're on the Inspired Choices Network. And we are talking about thriving in self love, which is the last episode of our 5-part discovery series called Becoming Your Own Best Friend. And before break, we were talking about what self love is and what self love is not, and then how we could actually implement more self love in our lives. So, now what we're going to do is, as I've done for the other segments of this discovery series, this is our meditation time. So, I put together a guided meditation um, to embrace and experience self love. So, we're going to just segue into that. So, when you're ready, I invite you to find a nice quiet place. And just remember, you could listen to the meditation. Please don't do that if you're driving, by all means. You could listen to it, but don't go into the prompts because it's about safety. And you want to be in a safe environment when you do any type of meditation. So when you're ready, I just invite you to find a quiet and comfortable space where you won't be disturbed for the next few moments. Sit in a comfortable position with your back straight and your hands resting gently on your lap or knees. And then when you're ready, just close your eyes gently. Take a few deep breaths, inhaling slowly through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. With each breath, allow yourself to relax more deeply, letting go of any tension or stress you may be holding on to. And just allow your shoulders to soften, your arms to rest comfortably, and just feel your feet upon the floor of the room you're in, and your bottom against the seat of the chair, and your back supported by the back of the chair. Now bring your attention to your heart center, that area in the middle of your chest. Visualize a warm, glowing light radiating from the center, filling your entire being with love and compassion. And just make note of what you're experiencing in that area. With the curiosity of a child, Just allow it to be as it is. There's no right or wrong way to do this. This is your experience. As you continue to breathe deeply and slowly, repeat the following affirmations silently to yourself or out loud. I am worthy of love and kindness. I am worthy of love and kindness. I am worthy of love and kindness. I accept myself fully and unconditionally. I accept myself fully and unconditionally. I accept myself fully and unconditionally. I am enough just as I am. I am enough just as I am. I forgive myself for any mistakes or shortcomings. I forgive myself for any mistakes or shortcomings. I forgive myself for any mistakes or shortcomings. I am deserving of happiness and fulfillment. I am deserving of happiness and fulfillment. I am deserving of happiness and fulfillment. I am more than enough. I am plenty. I am more than enough. I am plenty. I am more than enough. I am plenty. With each affirmation, just imagine the warm, glowing light in your heart center expanding and enveloping your entire body, bathing you in a cocoon of love and acceptance. I am worthy of love and kindness. I accept myself fully and unconditionally. I am enough just as I am. I forgive myself for any mistakes or shortcomings. I am deserving of happiness and fulfillment. I am more than enough. I am plenty. Now think of a time when you felt deeply loved and cherished, whether by yourself or someone else. Allow yourself to fully immerse in the feeling of love and warmth, letting it wash over you like a gentle wave. Take a moment to send love and gratitude to yourself for who you are, acknowledging your strengths, your uniqueness, and your journey. Finally, take a few more deep breaths and gradually bring your awareness back to the present moment. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Remember that you can return to this meditation anytime you need a reminder of your own worth and capacity for love. Embrace yourself with kindness and compassion, knowing that you are deserving of all the love in the world. So, welcome back. What I love about doing meditations for you is that there's this quiet lull after, where no words need to be exchanged. It's a feel. It's a feel of deepness, serenity, and connectedness. So after having this experience, I feel what's really important is to just go back and just look at some of the takeaways about self-love and what's really important. I think we need to remember that self-love is a practice. It's not just a concept. It is something that requires consistent effort and commitment. It's not a one and done, as we say. No bypass here. We have to take our steps and walk through that. It involves actively caring for and nurturing ourselves, prioritizing our well-being, and cultivating a positive relationship with ourself over time, thus becoming your own best friend. Self-love, another takeaway would be self-love involves acceptance and compassion. Central to self-love is the acceptance of oneself, including both strengths and weaknesses, or what we label as strengths and weaknesses. I could call them learning opportunities. And treating ourselves with kindness, compassion, and forgiveness. It's about embracing one's imperfections and recognizing one's inherent worthiness. It's about cutting ourselves some slack, giving ourselves some grace, and kind of lightening up and having a sense of humor as well. Because I think we have a tendency to take ourselves and life way too seriously. And it's about learning how to bring the joy and fun back into our lives. Self-love is essential for our overall well-being. This is another takeaway. By integrating self-love into our lives, it is a crucial aspect for our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. When we practice self-love, we embrace our resilience, boost our self-esteem, cultivate a deeper sense of fulfillment and happiness in our lives. And also, it's a foundational piece to allow us to create better physical health and wellness. Because when we start learning how to love ourselves, it changes the frequency and vibration of who we are, which raises our frequency and vibration to want to do better for ourselves, to take better care of ourselves. And it is an energy. And when we raise the frequency and vibration, we have less stress, less sadness. We have less, I want to say, less distractions and less ways of going down the rabbit hole to create drama and chaos for ourselves. So when we're able to worry about ourselves or put ourselves as a priority, I don't like the word worry, but take care of ourselves, it raises our frequency and vibration. And we know by the law of attraction, whatever you focus your attention on, you're going to create more and more of that. So when you raise your vibration, you are allowing a higher frequency to come in, raising your vibration. You're going to continue to attract more and more and more and more of that. So really focus on loving yourself, making yourself a practice, making your self-love a practice, and accepting yourself, having compassion for yourselves, and also just allowing that self-love to come from within yourself to ripple out into humanity and make a difference in the world. So we're going to be going on our next break, and you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, and we are talking about thriving in self-love as part of Becoming Your Own Best Friend Self-Discovery Series. See you when we come back.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody, and we're just coming to the end of our episode. I can't believe it's kind of flown right by. And we've been talking about thriving in self-love as part of our 5-part discovery series called Becoming Your Own Best Friend, which is a foundational piece with Becoming Your Own Best Friend is thriving in self-love. So some parting words that I want to just, interject here is that embrace the beautiful journey of self-love with an open heart and a gentle spirit. Remember that you are worthy of love, kindness, compassion, just as you are. And embrace your uniqueness, celebrate your strengths, and honor your journey of growth and self-discovery. As you continue to cultivate a deeper acceptance for yourself, you'll find that you have the power to transform your life and radiate that love out into the world. And you're actually transforming other lives as well because of this radiance. You are enough. In fact, you are plenty. You are deserving and you are loved. So, we talked a lot about becoming your own best friend on this self-discovery series. And I just want to kind of go back and do an overview of what the whole series was about. What I want to say is this: self-discovery is a lifelong journey. It's about embracing a process of exploration, growth, and self-awareness. It's about delving deep into the thoughts, values, and feelings and experiences that gain a deeper understanding of who you are and what you truly want in life. And it's an ongoing process. It's not a one and done. It's a continual evolution. So I invite people to be curious and continue to self-discover their entire lives. You'd be surprised at what you're going to learn on a daily basis that, you thought you might have known everything about something, and then the universe is going to delight and surprise you. Become your own best friend. It all starts with you first. Cultivate a strong and nurturing relationship with yourself, which is essential on your journey of self-discovery. You need to support, just as you would need to support and uplift a dear friend, sometimes we need to do that for ourselves as well. And with your compassion, self-compassion, and self-understanding and self-acceptance, these are really key things to remember. Embrace authenticity. When you are your true self, you are being truly authentic and genuine and real. Not any of this, looking for other people's ideas to define who you are. No, this comes from within yourself. Allow that light to shine within you. Practice self-reflection. Please look at yourself and explore. with the curiosity of a child, not to punish or beat yourself up, but to learn from what has happened, to gain wisdom and understanding and self-compassion. Embrace your curiosity and exploration. I love this because I'm just naturally curious myself. And it's like, I like to explore, and I also like to find out more of what's going on. I don't take things sometimes for face value. I just have to dig in deeply, and I invite you to take on that aspect of yourself. So let's just recap the topics that we talked about. We talked about authenticity on this series, and what authenticity is. It's about being honest with yourself and others, even when it's uncomfortable, and living in alignment with your values and beliefs. Overall, it is about liberating, but also it's essential for leading a fulfilling and authentic life, authenticity. Cultivating compassion, we talked about in one episode, and that is involves recognizing our shared humanity and acknowledging the struggles and challenges we all face. By practicing self compassion in our daily interactions, we not only strengthen our relationships, but we contribute to a more empathetic and compassionate world. Remember, it all starts with us first. When we nurture our inner strength, that was another episode, it's about tapping into the inner resources such as courage, perseverance, and adaptability to overcome obstacles and thrive in the face of adversity, can't even talk. Inner strength is a journey of self-discovery and empowerment, and enabling us to live authentically and with purpose. And lastly, we talked about embracing boundaries last week, and embracing boundaries involves learning to say no without guilt, prioritizing one's own needs and values, and creating space for healthy boundaries to flourish, and essential for fostering mutual respect, trust, and emotional balance in all relationships. So that is the ending of our, becoming your own best friend, a self-discovery series. I hope you enjoyed that. And next week on the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network, we're going to be we're circling back and talking about being a perfectionist. So next week's episode is called Help, Being Perfect is Ruining My Life. And just a little bit about the episode. In this captivating episode on the Dr. Dolores Show, we delve into the struggles of individuals whose relentless pursuit of being perfect has become a burden too heavy to bear. From meticulously crafted social media personas to meticulously planned career paths, the protagonist's lives seem flawless on the surface. However, beneath the facade lies a constant battle with anxiety, self-doubt, and the suffocating pressure of impossibly high standards. If that sounds like you, this is the show for you to listen to. As people reach their breaking point, they find themselves trapped in a cycle of self-sabotage, unable to accept anything less than perfection in every aspect of their lives. Struggling to maintain the facade while feeling increasingly isolated and overwhelmed, they realize their relentless pursuit of perfection has come at a steep cost. Help, Being Perfect is Ruining My Life is a compelling exploration of the pressures of modern day perfectionism and transformative power of self acceptance. So join me next week as we share the highs and lows of the journey towards authenticity, inner peace in this thought provoking episode. So I hope you enjoyed the series. I'm looking forward to sharing this next week because I think this rings true to a lot of people, not only myself, but to other people that I know. So I'm just going to leave you with this. Be kind to yourself. You are worth it. And I love you. Take care now.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. Dr. Dolores returns Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, remember to be kind to yourself and create your best life. You are worth it.